Welcome, Vincent, to Rise and Shine. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. Rise and Shine is basically a format where you all in the audience get to hear conversations that are happening behind closed doors, but we're opening the doors, making it transparent. Because aren't we in that age where everything is up for question and people are having conversations about just about everything, trying to renegotiate what's important, what's impactful, what needs to get left behind. So Vincent, I'm so happy to have you here. Again, my name is Alissa Bickar. I am the consultress, and my passions are in, being philosophical and heart-centered, as well as business and finance and making finance fun. I tell everyone I put the fun in funding. But Vincent, you're up to something very cool with your organization, Keep Music Alive. So tell us a little bit about you, and then we're just going to riff. Sound good?
Oh, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me, Alissa. I mean, you are so much more than you described for yourself. I mean, you are a coach, you are a friend, you are a mastermind genius. I'm so grateful that you've sucked me into your universe, and I'm excited to be here for Rise and Shine. I got the beach behind me, a little bit of wishful thinking with the palm trees, but we will get there this summer. I don't know about the palm trees. So Keep Music Alive is a music education nonprofit founded by my wife and myself several years back. And we're on a mission to help more kids and adults like us reap the educational, therapeutic, and all the social benefits of playing music. I mean, research, science is just, beginning to scratch the surface of all the benefits playing music has for kids. So, we developed all these different programs to help inspire more kids and adults to want to play music. Founded 2 international music holidays, Teach Music Week in March, Kids Music Day in October. We partner with over 1,000 music schools and stores to help celebrate. We do musical instrument petting zoos.
Wait, I gotta stop you there. Those are my favorite. I have never been to one. It's like on my bucket list. The musical instrument petting zoo. I'm just like, I want to touch all the instruments.
Well, we're gonna get one out to your way.
Yeah.
Or if you want to take a ride out to the Rock Hall in a couple of weeks, we'll be out there in Cleveland doing one.
Right on, man. Well, welcome. I love that. Your backstory is kind of what drew us together. We met in a Canfield training room and took the relationship into a mastermind, and now we get to meet every single week. So I've seen your evolution from being like a company man and to really diving full force 100% into your passion and to bringing that out to the world. So, I mean, again, this format is for me to bring the people I like to other people that I like, and to really just tell the world how awesome like this bond is that we've created. So Vincent, I don't know if you know, but some of your feedback to me in our masterminding, one of the quintessential pieces of Vincent wisdom that I remember is just chunk it down to a dozen things, because so often I get lost in my to-do lists that grow and whatnot. And, I think, oh, just put it into a dozen things. That's cool. I can do that. And I really appreciate that bit of wisdom because it started me on a really great trajectory in my career and life over the last bunch of years we've been connected. So what is one of the pieces of wisdom that you've been able to garner from masterminding together?
It's really just listening to everyone's different experiences, because we all have parallels in the different experiences that we've gone through and situations that we've encountered. Whether it's, making a list, prioritizing a list, learning when's our best time to focus, how do we wrestle the squirrels to the ground? How do we, how do we learn to eat the frog, do the most important thing in the morning or the hardest thing? So where'd you go? There you are. And then quick, everybody duck. I mean, it's just so many things, you mentioned we started off, in the Canfield world, and I learned so much from Jack and the Success Principles book and everything he outlines there. I was brought into that world, incidentally, through an experience at a horse farm. We were just talking about horses at our mastermind with one of our masterminders. But just it takes a long time, I think, sometimes, when we expose ourselves to something, we start learning from Jack and other mentors. And, we're planting seeds in our head little by little. And, like Jack will always say, we do the best we can with what we know at the time. And we are always, as humans, we're always evolving, we're always growing as we learn. through different experiences, and our confidence grows as we learn to try different things that are outside our comfort zone. And it's really a journey. And if I look back to 2009, when I first jumped into Jack's world a little bit, just a very little bit, hearing him speak once and getting the book, reading it once, and then putting it down for a few years, and then jumped into a more formal mentoring program about 8 years ago. And, scared to death to walk out and talk to people and say, who am I? What am I doing? What I want to do? What's my passion? So now, I'm thankfully so much more comfortable to speak to people on a more intimate level, in small group settings or one-to-one. Whereas before, I'm like, put me up on stage behind a keyboard playing and singing. I don't want to talk.
Yeah. That was me on the dance floor. I love to dance. I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, I just want to feel the music and, get into my groove and relate to people, but non-verbally. So for me, some of the really big impact that some of that personal development work has had is coming more into what is a unique and actually an authentic expression of me. I am an entertainer. I grew up dancing, and tap dancing was like my absolute favorite. But again, that's nonverbal. It's just body language. It's just performance art. And the audience gets to leave with something else. They get to leave being entertained, feeling inspired. So that has informed quite a bit of my work in that, coming out of those comfort zones. Like, we are terribly trapped by what feels comfortable, because I think there's an expression, and I'm going to botch it. My dad really sucked at colloquialisms, and apparently so do I. But like, we're more comfortable being uncomfortable because it's known than to take a risk to have something better, because that unknowingness is even scarier. Right. So this, masterminding we've done has us having exposure to one another in like repetitious format, coming back with similar issues, but a little bit changed. We're never the same person at that time because we're always growing our knowledge. But we come back to this room where people can see us in a continuation of ourselves and also provide feedback along the way. Because I mean, you've saved my psyche more than once when I come to the table feeling defeated, or reeling from a failure where I had pie in the sky ideas and it comes crashing to the ground because something happened that I didn't anticipate. And, thank you to you for saying things like, I don't have that perception of you. I don't see you the way you're seeing yourself right now. Have you considered this thing that you have done in the past? Have you considered this way that you've inspired and helped me? So inside of the mastermind, you get a reverberation of the value you've already put into the world. And I feel like it's one of the best kind of resonance machines out there. I feel like the mastermind is like the best vehicle for development. I don't know. I could be wrong.
No, absolutely. Because, when you start to develop a close-knit group like we have, and we bring in, you bring in guests, different weeks, and sometimes the guests stay for a little while, they come and they go. But, in this close tightness that we have, we're able to be vulnerable, to put our fears out there, to put our failures out there, and to share them, and, to learn from others, to be inspired by others. And Alissa, you talk about your fears and your insecurities, but we see you every week on the mastermind, how you're able to draw so much amazing things out of people, ideas, thoughts, suggestions, inspiration. You're able to hold us to task, did you ever think that maybe you're doing this, or why didn't you think about that? I mean, part of a mastermind and having an accountability partners asking those difficult questions and challenging people, because otherwise you're just in a, praise everybody mode. You're all doing great. We're all great. Meanwhile, we're not growing.
Don't they call that an echo chamber?
Echo,
Right?
thank you. I
When
couldn't
you
think of the
only
word.
get the feedback that you've always ever
Wanna
had
hear.
to like reinforce the bias that you still already have,
Yes, and that's horrible, for growth. And going back to the fear and getting out of our comfort zone, something I've learned recently is, it's our ego oftentimes that's keeping us trapped within our comfort zone. Our ego saying, protect little Johnny, you don't want to go out and get hurt by going out and challenging yourself and maybe getting rejected 5, 10,000, or how many times did Chicken Soup for the Soul get rejected before they got a publishing contract, which led to over 500 million books sold. You know, our ego is just trying to protect ourselves. So just recognize that, okay, I appreciate you, ego. I appreciate you trying to protect myself, but I have goals, I have dreams, and my success lies just outside my comfort zone. So if I don't break out of that shell, if I don't start cracking that shell and emerging and becoming the little chickling coming out of the egg, I'm never going to grow, and I'm going to die in the shell. And I don't want to get to the end of my life and be all shriveled up in that shell, like, oh God, what could have I become? That's the biggest regret I could ever have.
I think, and regret is just fear manifest, isn't it? Having a fear that keeps us stuck forever becomes a regret. So I think one of the biggest things, and for me, it always comes in the grand pursuit of business, right? All my personal development has come because I wanted something. I wanted to create a business. I wanted to create a system. I wanted to create revenue. But it had me bump up against all of these fears. Who are you to do that? How can you possibly think that you can do this gigantic thing that you have no idea how to do? And the pursuit of something greater than you, and the why behind why you're looking to do that, this for me was business, pushed me over the edge of that resistance. Well, I can't sit in fear because this is too important to me. And I think recognizing why you're up to something is super powerful, because it helps you, metabolize that fear and use it as a guidepost rather than a stop sign.
Absolutely. I mean, our why. I mean, what's the famous book about a why from Simon Sinek? I think it is. I may have that wrong, but why is this important to us? What is our goal, and why are we doing this? And why is that important? And then go to the next level. Well, why is that important? And then go to the next level. Why is that important? Get down to the deepest level that we can allow ourselves to get, or maybe force ourselves to get into understanding and appreciating, in our very fiber. Why is what we're doing so important to us? Because when we can latch on to that, that is, like you said, is what's going to help propel us beyond the fear, breaking out of our shell, out of our comfort zone, do the things that are uncomfortable. And the funny thing is, once you start doing them, they get easier. It's like the book that you got me on, Greatest Salesman, chapter that I just finished. We have to allow our actions to control our thoughts, not our thoughts to control our actions. Because when we do the actions, it builds up our psyche, builds up the confidence, and we're glad we did it at the end. When we're done at the gym, 30 minutes, an hour, we feel grateful that we did it. A little sore maybe, but we're grateful that we did it. If I was going out to do an event, I was like, do I really want to do this? Do I have to do this? But when I forced myself to go do it, at the end, I'm like, I'm really glad I came. I met this person, saw this person, I went and I played, and like, this is awesome, So really have to let the actions and our why behind the actions drive us forward.
Yeah, I think it's in actually the Eat That Frog book by Brian Tracy. It said something about when we know why we're doing something, it helps us to clearly define what's worth doing and what's a waste of time. And now I'm paraphrasing like crazy because I don't know the actual quote, but it's true. So getting really, so for me, in my real estate endeavors, I come from finance and family business. I grew up behind the counter at my parents' bagel store, and my dad used the revenue from those stores to buy commercial and residential real estate rentals. And so I was the beneficiary of this structure. But my career took its own path. I went into banking and then into wealth management, personal financial planning, and got all the licenses enough to be dangerous, and then realized, like, oh shit, my ladder is on the wall of the wrong building. I don't want to go to the top of this building. I want to be entrepreneurial. I want to be out in the world. And I told my boss at the time when I submitted my resignation on April Fool's Day.
What a day! What a day to do that.
I know.
We'll see you on Monday. Let's.
Yeah, I was like in Vegas at a convention where I actually saw Jack speak for the first time, and I was already kind of on the fence, but I realized I wanted to follow my passion. And what I said to him was, thank you so much for being a mentor to my boss. His name was, rest his soul, Mark Sieben. probably the best business mentor I've ever had.
Mm.
And I said to him, look, I want to go to work in sneakers. I want to be out in the world, but I want to dress the way I want to dress. I don't want to button up and be stodgy. And finance can be very stodgy. Well, here I am 20 years later, and I am wearing my flowing tops and my sneakers. I'm going places where there's guys in blazers and t-shirts, like this is how, like, the real estate entrepreneur, and I call them multipreneurs because just freaking love that everybody's got their hands in all sorts of businesses. But I found my tribe of people. And now looking all the way back on it, I'm in real estate because it uses and leverages all this mindset, all this business, all this financial training that I have, and it puts it all squarely in the hands of my family. Like, this is what my dad did to build our legacy, to make sure we had passive and active income. And that's what I'm up to here for my family. I moved my family out to the mountains because that was a better lifestyle for us. But guess what? We moved closer to the area of the country where we want to build, my husband and I want to build our rental portfolio. So, we're practicing what we preach out here, but all of these things didn't happen because I was like, that's a good idea. That's easy. Stroll into that, I'm like, that's a good idea. It terrifies me. Oh my God. So how am I going to do that? I don't know. I guess I'm just going to make the commitment and figure it out. So again, the act of, metabolizing that fear comes from because you see something that makes you become an even greater, more developed person in the act of going for that goal. And that, to me, it changed the game. Yeah.
And you're so right. Now, oftentimes the thing that we fear the most, and when something scares us to death, that's, I often believe that's a sign. That's what we need to do. And the fact that we're scared to death of it means that it's way outside our comfort zone. But we also see the fact that we're even thinking about it is because we see the tremendous opportunity there for us and for our growth and for our direction. So when we're scared to death, maybe just think a little bit harder. Okay, that's a sign that's, we need to go closer to the edge of the wall, edge of the cliff, and, maybe we're not going to jump just yet, but, we're going to look at it a little closer and see maybe that is, we're going to get a little rope ladder, a little rope steps, and we're going to find a way to go down that precipice and get to where we want to go. Climb that cliff.
You go from the fear into making the plan.
Yes. And the plan starts to make it less fearful, and you do the training, the research, whatever you need to do, you put you prepare. When you're prepared, the fear starts to dissipate, quite a bit. And you're always going to have a little bit of fear. We all have fear. The most successful people in the world had fear when they started their enterprises. And, they all say this, once they finally get successful and they're all right with being vulnerable, to say, yeah, I was scared to death to start this. I was scared to death to launch this new product, but I knew I had to do it. I knew I had to do it. So I did.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm hearing, as you're talking about this, I'm hearing your story that I want you to share, because people watching aren't going to know your story, but I've seen you inside of our mastermind walk this path of feeling the fear and taking the action anyway. Can you just tell us a little bit about your experience leaving your 9-to-5 and building your passion business behind the scenes for a while and then launching full in?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
how you metabolize the fear there, because I think it's really important to share.
So the interesting thing is, Alissa, so I'm an engineer by trade. I went to school for engineering. I was kind of inspired isn't the right word, encouraged by my parents, to pursue engineering instead of music, which I really wanted to do music. And I went down this path. I got the degree, I got a job, and spent 30 odd years doing engineering. And, over the years, I kept coming back to music, doing music on the side, performing, managing bands, hosting concerts, working in studios, recording studios, co-owned the studio for a little while. So wrote custom songs for weddings, all different things that I did. And just this nagging thing inside me, this is really where I want to be doing. I mean, I'm okay at being the engineer thing, but I'm not great at it. And I'm certainly not my passion. And that's probably why I never got great at it, because it's just, my heart was never really in it. But I went through, and I can't remember the number of times, at least 4 times over a 10-year period, I actually quit my full-time job. I walked away, said, I'm going to do this for music, what I'm currently doing now. And then a month, 2 months, 6 months later, whatever it is, I ran back to my full-time job. The fear brought me back. I didn't stick with what I was doing long enough, really, to see if it could succeed, honestly. Because I just had this limiting belief inside me that was implanted by my parents. Music's a hobby. You can always do it on the side. And then about 9 years ago, I listened to a webinar from some folks that Jack works with about how we always have a book inside them. We all have a book inside us we need to write. Honestly, I never thought I would write a book about anything because I wasn't a great engineer. I wasn't an expert there. I wasn't an expert musician or songwriter because I wasn't full-time or making great success there. But on that call, I got the idea, what about a book of inspirational music stories of how music impacted people's lives? And so was born the 88 Ways Music Can Change Your Life book, basically book series, inspirational stories from people all around the world of how music impacted their lives. And that gave birth to the inspiration that was Keep Music Alive, the nonprofit that we now run. And, Teach Music Week, Kids Music Day, the musical instrument petting zoos with all the fun things we do with the kids and the adults. And so that built up over several years. And, I knew at some point I need to make the jump again. And yeah, I'm a little scared because in the back of my mind, I have, I did this before. I know the result. But this time I have it in my mind firmly, like I'm not going back. I didn't burn the bridge, but I did lock the gate this time on my way out and said, I'm done. I'm not going back. And you don't want me anyway, because I'm not good for you being here. I'm not good for me being here. So committed, as you alluded to, in February 1st of this year, I walked away. I retired from that full-time career permanently, and now building up our Keep Music Alive nonprofit and figuring it out along the way. We have some funding coming in, but we're still learning how to be, I like to tell people we're trying to break out of the toddler mode, graduate from being a toddler nonprofit to get ourselves into kindergarten. And we're getting close to getting into kindergarten. And we just, there's a lot of different cycles, phases of a nonprofit. And I'm excited about growing our mission and impacting as many people as we can because of the many benefits. And my why is the many benefits that music brings to people, both playing, listening to it, and what kids can achieve in their lives and be successful at. Not even just playing music, but what playing music to them, how it develops their brain, connects the left logical, the right creative sides. The pipe actually gets bigger. This is why we have great scientists, doctors, entrepreneurs, engineers, scientists.
I am a product of music, dance. I played piano growing up. My dad hated violin, so I didn't play that very long. But
beginning violin sounds horrible. That's why.
It does. It's horrible.
It wasn't your fault.
No. But at the end of the day, singing, dancing, and playing music are some of the ways that I'm developing and dancing with all the challenges and pivots in my life, in my business. So absolutely, I agree wholeheartedly. And we've got a bunch of resources from this conversation. We've got a bunch of ways for people to connect with you, Vincent, at keepmusicalive.org. And me with theconsultress.com. My contact information's there. If you want a mastermind, call me, because building a mastermind and building your tribe, your strategic partners, is one of the ways that's helped Vincent and I move our own lives and businesses forward. And that is the thing I am passionate about paying forward. So I will put in the show notes here some links to some of the books we talked about here today. And so you can have an actionable next step to go watch that Simon Sinek video about the why, or go buy the 88 Ways Music Inspires You book. I'll get that from you so I can put it actually in the link here, so that you can, further yourself. So through books, through business, through music, through making things, life is meant to evolve. So get out of that comfort zone and keep it moving forward. Thanks a million, Vincent, for being here with me today. This has been an amazing conversation. Until next time, friends, we will see you on the YouTube channel. Leave your comments below, and we look forward to seeing you in our live soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alissa. Let's grow together, everyone. Bye-bye.
Heck yeah. Bye.